Hello everybody, and welcome to this live video of the Nevada caucuses. Sorry, I apologize in advance for not showing the whole thing, but due to what happened on YouTube some time ago, I just don't want to take a chance and get in trouble again. So kind of missed almost the whole thing, but the good news, no, we get to see I'm going to show you the win. I'm going to show you the winner, so please stand by. And hope it's the candidate you have all wanted.
Talked about tonight, which is Bernie Sanders, and that is very telling, and it allowed Bernie Sanders to get to the place where he is. It's not just that he hasn't been attacked to give him the props that he deserves. It's because he has a real movement behind him, but it didn't hurt him the way other candidates have been hurt by getting attacked.
He's trying to plant a very important flag. The question is, how solid is the ground he's trying to plant it in the sense that he wants to be. Bernie Sanders has this momentum. Bernie Sanders has the liberal lane of the party locked up. He wants to be the centrist alternative. But it looks like Joe Biden's going to come in second in Nevada tonight. Joe Biden says he's going to win South Carolina. Pete Buttigieg has yet to prove himself with Latino and African-American voters. We'll see what the final numbers are in Nevada tonight. But here's a candidate who narrowly won Iowa, ran a very close second to Senator Sanders in New Hampshire, had a moment. The question is, can he make something of that moment? Can he go from there and build on it?
We're only voting
to find, for those who haven't found a distant third in Nevada, is that enough? He needs to follow it up quickly, Wolf, with South Carolina. So he's trying to plant a flag. The question is, will voters agree with him?
All right, we have a major projection to make right now. I found your candidate. And
CNN can now project that Bernie Sanders is the winner of the Nevada caucuses. This is another important victory for the senator in the most diverse state to vote so far. And it catapults his campaign and the progressive movement forward. It strengthens his status as the clear Democratic frontrunner. Bernie Sanders, the winner of the Nevada Democratic presidential caucuses. Let's go to Ryan Nobles. He's over at in San Antonio, Texas. That's where Bernie Sanders' campaign headquarters is right now. They're clearly watching CNN right now. They are very, very happy, Ryan.
You got that right, Wolf. This crowd has been paying attention to the speakers, not looking at their phones, not paying attention to the news outside of this room, and learning for the first time right here that Bernie Sanders has become the winner of the Nevada caucuses, according to this CNN projection. Obviously, this is a very excited crowd, passionate about Sanders and his campaign, and it's important for the momentum to be behind a group like this, Wolf. The state of Texas, very crucial to the vote here in the next couple of weeks, March 3rd on Super Tuesday. And what's very impressive about this particular crowd, Wolf, is it is a group of many different races and colors. A lot of different speakers speaking Spanish, Latino supporters as well, an area and a group that Bernie Sanders has reached out to in a major way and has made incredible inroads with. It will be crucial for the vote in Texas, and it was crucial for the vote in Nevada as well. Now, Senator Sanders is expected to speak here in the next 10 minutes or so, and that's where he will, for the first time, claim victory in the Nevada caucuses. From the Sanders campaign's perspective, this is 3 in a row. They won the popular vote in Iowa, obviously not the winner yet. No one's been declared the winner there yet. They won in New Hampshire and now able to claim victory in Nevada before heading into South Carolina. Wolf, they've been considered the front runner since that win in New Hampshire. The win here in Nevada, though, very impressive. It's the first win that they've had by a significant margin, which is so important symbolically as this campaign moves forward. So you can hear the response here from this crowd, Wolf. Very excited and very happy about this win for Bernie Sanders and what it means for him and his campaign going forward.
Yeah, they certainly should be very happy, very excited. Important win for Bernie Sanders. Dana, this is 3 in a row, basically. He did really well in Iowa, really well in New Hampshire. Now he's projected to be the winner in Nevada.
And what you saw there, the energy there, is kind of a snapshot of the really big movement that he has, not just in Nevada, not just in those states that you talked about, but most importantly, across the country. And as we move into South Carolina, which is going to be the next, obviously, important state, but then into Super Tuesday and beyond, where you're going to have Michael Bloomberg, who is spending, more money than we even can imagine. The only person who's going to be able to compete with that when it comes to money at this point is Bernie Sanders, because he's got, got the wallet and he's got small donors and the base who can keep that wallet full to be able to go up against him.
What a fascinating moment for Senator Sanders, who was the underdog throughout 2016. Now he has the baton. He's the leader of the race. He will be aware, if he didn't see it himself where he's in his holding room, of what Mayor Buttigieg just said. He knows what is coming. This will be a disaster for the party. You can't nominate Bernie Sanders. How does he deal with that? Number one, winning is how you deal with that. All these people keep saying, I can't beat Trump. Well, I keep beating them. That's one of the ways you answer that, by continuing to win. But it'd be very, very interesting in his tone here to see if he counters that, if he tries to reach out. He is in Nevada, based on the entrance polls. We don't have anywhere near the final numbers yet. He is expanding his coalition. It does look like he's going to have a big margin there. That certainly helps you rebut your critics. Now, the rest of the party is saying Lily White, Iowa, Lily White, New Hampshire, disproportionately liberal electorate in Nevada. Those things may all be true, but Bernie Sanders has momentum. It is the most cherished gift in politics, and he has it.
And there's one other point that I think is important to make, and that is this has been such a very big field since the beginning. And there were a lot of candidates, not just Elizabeth Warren, but others who were Bernie Sanders-like progressives. And the question at the beginning was, is it time for Bernie Sanders to pass that baton that he has? Is it time for other candidates who are like-minded to get a chance? And what the Bernie Sanders campaign said is, why would you go for New Coke when you have Coke Classic on the ballot? And the answer is they're going for Coke Classic, at least at the beginning here. And his support is about, yes, it's about the movement, but it is also about him, his ideas, and it just didn't translate to some of the other lesser-known candidates who were trying to push some of the same ideas.
And once again, CNN has now projected that Bernie Sanders has won the Nevada Democratic Presidential Caucus. We're standing by to hear directly from Senator Sanders. He's about to speak. We'll have special coverage right after this.
He's the only one on either side who
Racism.
How you liking coaching so far?
Great. Getting used to the players.
What players?
You're nervous. I get that. They got more talent than we do. Brad got a better coach. But I promise you, this is our night. Because they don't know adversity. They haven't been through what we've been through. They haven't been knocked down. I had to get back up. They don't know what it is to fight.
Dan Affleck, The Way Back, rated R.
3% did.
Winning awards is great, but doing all the work that takes you there, that's the hard part. At Verizon, being reliable means working to always be reliable. It's why we earned more awards again this year, just like last year, and the year before, and years before that. All these awards are real proof that we built a network that really works for you. The network more people rely on. Now experience America's most awarded network on the phone you love, the amazing iPhone. Plus up to $650 off the latest iPhone when you switch, with Apple Music included.
I'm happy to give you the tour. I love doing it. Hey, Jay.
Jay? Charlotte.
Oh, hi.
He helped me set up my watch list.
Oh, he's terrific. Excellent tennis player.
I recognize that voice. Annie? Yeah. She helped me find the right bonds for my income strategy.
Very popular around here. There's a birthday going on.
Carl, he took care of my 401k rollover.
Wow, you call a lot.
Yeah, well, it's my money we're talking about here. Joining us for karaoke later?
I'd love to, but people get really emotional when I sing.
Help from a team that will exceed your expectations.
Alive.
I have always wanted to do this. This is gonna be awesome. Let's do this!
Babe, what are you doing?
Gonna demo the bathroom. Who are you?
The bath fitter installer, remember? Bath fitter custom made our new bath to fit perfectly over the old one, so there's no demo or mess.
Impressive. Wait, so no demo? Sorry, man.
Bath fitter will remodel your bath with no messy demolition in as little as 1 day. Call now or visit bathfitter.com for a free in-home consultation.
So, You want to be the leader of the free world? Just how far will you go to get what you want? Will you turn friends into enemies? Will you break your own rules? Maybe you can change politics, or maybe politics will change you. The race for the White House is on.
Tomorrow at 9 on CNN.
Some say good things come to those who wait. At QVC, we say better things come now. Enjoy now, pay over time, 0% interest with Easy Pay. The best news, you can use it every day on everything. Yes, everything. All the great brands you love and new products you'll discover. So why wait? It's Easy Pay now every day on everything. Shop QVC and QVC.com.
I focus on the quality on the plate. Yosemite Ranch is a steakhouse. What really makes us special is the quality of our meat. We are buying direct out of the heart of the Midwest, aged just the way we like it, and to have your whole dinner, everything that includes the salad, sides, fantastically big baked potato, I mean, that's a great, great value. I simply buy the best, so you can taste the difference.
Live presidential town halls start Monday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
Bernie Sanders is the winner of the Nevada Democratic Presidential Caucus. We expect to hear from him momentarily. He is getting ready to speak. He's in San Antonio, Texas right now. Texas on March 3rd. They will have their primary on March 3rd. He's getting ready clearly for that Super Tuesday. Dana, they're very excited at Bernie Sanders' campaign headquarters right now in San Antonio. He's about to speak, as I said. But this is a moment for him because it will presumably energize that base of his.
Yeah, and it should be, and he could be coming out any second, and when he does, I'll stop talking. But, you know, he had so much energy. Oh, there he is.
He's going to accept the applause for a minute or so. There he is with his wife. And he's obviously very happy, and understandably very happy. He deserves a lot of credit.
Let me introduce to you the next First Lady of the United States, Jane Sanders. You will be very proud of her as First Lady. You know, based on what I have seen today in Texas, we were in El Paso, we're here now. Don't tell anybody. I don't want to get them nervous. We're going to win the Democratic primary in Texas. And you know, this is also important. The president gets very, very upset easily. So don't tell him that we're going to beat him here in Texas. And now I'm delighted to bring you some pretty good news. I think all of you know we won the popular vote in Iowa. We won the New Hampshire primary. And according to 3 networks in the AP, we have now won the Nevada caucus. me thank the people of Nevada for their support. In Nevada, we have just put together a multi-generational, multi-racial coalition, which is going to not only win in Nevada, it's going to sweep this country. And in Nevada and in New Hampshire and in Iowa, what we showed is that our volunteers are prepared to knock on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of doors, that no campaign has a grassroots movement like we do, which is another reason why we're going to win this election. In Nevada, I want to thank our rank and file union members. I want to thank Make the Road and all of the grassroots organizations that helped us win there. We are going to win here in Texas. We are going to win across the country because the American people are sick and tired of a president who lies all of the time. They are sick and tired of a corrupt administration. They are sick and tired of a president who is undermining American democracy, who thinks he is above the law, and who apparently has never read the Constitution in this country. The American people are sick and tired of a government which is based on greed, corruption, and lies. They want an administration which is based on the principles of justice. Economic justice, social justice, racial justice, and environmental justice. Now, Trump and his friends think they are going to win this election. They think they're going to win this election by dividing our people up based on the color of their skin or where they were born or their religion or their sexual orientation. We are going to win because we are doing exactly the opposite. We're bringing our people together. We are bringing our people together. Black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. Gay and straight. We are bringing our people together around an agenda that works for the working people of this country, not the 1%. All over this country, workers are sick and tired of earning starvation wages. You can't make it on $9 an hour or $11 an hour or $12 an hour. We are going to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. We are going to provide equal pay for equal work for women. We are going to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're going to create millions of good-paying union jobs by rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure and building the 10 million units of low-income and affordable housing this country desperately needs. We're going to win this election because we believe in education. We are going to have high-quality, affordable, universal child care. We are going to triple funding for low-income Title I schools. And we need great teachers in this country. We need more Latino teachers. We need more African American teachers. And because we know the vitally important work that teachers do, we're going to fight to make sure that no teacher in America earns less than $60,000 a year. And because we believe in education, we believe that all of our people, regardless of their income, are entitled to a higher education. And that is why we're going to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. And we're going to cancel all student debt in this country. By imposing a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. 12 years ago, we bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. Now it is their turn to help the working families in this country. And together, we are going to end the international embarrassment of the United States of America, our great country, being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. So let me be as clear as I can be. Health care is a human right, not a privilege. We are going to end the absurd situation in which we now are spending twice as much per person on health care as the people of any other country, yet 87 million of us are uninsured or underinsured, 30,000 die each year, and 500,000 people go bankrupt because of medically related debt. In America, you should not go bankrupt because you're struggling with cancer. The function of a rational and humane healthcare system is to guarantee healthcare to all, not make $100 billion in profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies. And we are going to take on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry. Under our administration, the American people will not pay, in some cases, 10 times more for the same prescription drugs sold in Mexico, Canada, or in Europe. And when we talk about the major crises facing this country, it is a sad state of affairs when we have a president of the United States who believes that climate change is a hoax. Well, the scientific community has a slight disagreement with Mr. Trump. They think that climate change is an existential threat to this planet. And our administration believes in science, not right-wing extremism. And that is why together we are going to adopt the principles of the Green New Deal. Which creates up to 20 million good-paying jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. Brothers and sisters, this is a moral issue. We must make sure that the planet we leave our children and grandchildren is a planet that is healthy and habitable. And when we talk about issues that must be dealt with, we in fact are going to reform a broken and racist criminal justice system. We do not want to continue a situation where we have more people in jail than any other country, including China, 4 times our size. And the people in jail are disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. And that is why we are going to invest in our young people, in jobs, in education. Not more jails and incarceration. That is why we are going to end private prisons and detention centers. That is why we are going to end the war on drugs and legalize marijuana in every state in this country. Let me ask you all a question. Let me ask you a serious question. How many people in this room tonight know somebody who was arrested for possession of marijuana? We are going to move forward to expunge the records of those arrested for possession of marijuana. And when we talk about broken and racist systems, we are going to bring about fundamental reform to our immigration system. I am the son of an immigrant. My father came to this country from Poland without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English, had very little education. I know something about the immigrant experience. Together, we are going to end the demonization of the undocumented in this country. On our first day in office, through executive order, we rescind all of Trump's racist immigration executive orders. On our first day in office, through executive order, we restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people and their parents eligible for DACA. On our first day in office, we end a border policy which today allows federal agents to grab babies from the arms of their mothers. and throw children into cages. That is not what America is about. And together we will do what the American people have wanted to do for years, and that is pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. Earlier today, Jane and I were in El Paso at the memorial at that terrible shooting in El Paso, at the Walmart store there. And this is my promise to you. Our gun safety legislation, which the American people want because they are disgusted by the amount of gun violence and mass killings in this country. Our gun safety legislation will be written by the American people, not the NRA. We will have universal background checks. We will end the gun show loophole. And we will do what the American people want, and that is end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country.
Senator Bernie Sanders is the winner of the Nevada Democratic Presidential Caucuses. We're about to have extensive analysis of where this campaign, his campaign, the other campaigns go from here. Much more of our special coverage right after this.
As a struggling actor, I need all the breaks that I can get. At Liberty Buchamug.
Cut.
Liberty Bibbity.
Cut. We'll dub it.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Just one drop. Oh!
Gorilla Superglue Micro Precise. Of course.
Precise application, controlled dispensing with Gorilla Strength for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
The ups and downs of frequent mood swings can plummet you to extreme lows, lift you to intense highs, or make you feel both at once. Overwhelmed by bipolar 1 symptoms? Ask about Vraylar. Some medications only treat the lows or the highs. Vraylar effectively treats depression, acute manic, and mixed episodes of bipolar 1. Full spectrum relief of all symptoms with just one pill once a day. Elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction. Or uncontrollable muscle movements may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. Metabolic changes may occur. Movement dysfunction, restlessness, sleepiness, stomach issues are common side effects. When bipolar 1 overwhelms, Vraylar helps smooth the ups and downs.
When managing diabetes, you can't always stop for a finger stick. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you don't have to. With a painless 1-second scan, you can check your glucose with a smartphone or reader, so you can stay in the moment, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Ask your doctor for a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
We were feeding her dry, triangle-shaped kibble. We didn't know how bad it was for her until we got the good food. We got her a farmer's dog in the mail. She started being more active, smiling more, running more, playing more. I want my dog to have a healthy and long life. The farmer's dog helps that out.
I am totally blind, and Non-24 can throw my days and nights out of sync, keeping me from the things I love to do. Talk to your doctor and call 844-214-2424.
Oh, Mr. Resourceful, brown bagging it. So why are you paying so much for wireless?
I don't know.
The new TracFone Wireless gives you all kinds of control. And leftovers? TracFone lets you keep your leftover data each month.
What are you doing?
Unlimited carryover data. Hey, did you know you can get unlimited talk and text on America's best 4G LTE networks for $20? No contract?
Unlimited talk?
I like that because on Sundays, you know I got to talk to Mama. Then on
This is your wake-up call, people. The new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control.
There may be dark days ahead, but with God's help, we shall prevail.
A king who didn't want the throne
must lead England through its darkest hour.
The Windsors, Inside the Royal Dynasty, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
I'm Dari Rezvani, and I owe everything to this community. It's given me an education, the opportunity to build a business, and the ability to start a family.
Well, kinda. I approve this message because we deserve a representative who stands in solidarity with us, who respects our differences, and whose commitment to the Valley is unshakable. Devin Nunes doesn't pass that test, and it's time we send someone to Washington who will.
What makes the best road trip? A ride with a roomy interior and rugged exterior. And don't forget the snacks. When your engine starts, so does your next adventure. Wouldn't it be nice to explore California in a new Toyota SUV? Lease the ready-for-anything RAV4 for just $279 a month. Or check out the deals on the game-changing RAV4 Hybrid. 2 years no-cost maintenance comes standard. Toyota. Let's go places.
I'm Will Ripley in Yokohama, Japan, and this is CNN.
And welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Nevada caucuses. We just heard from Senator Bernie Sanders. We've heard from pretty much all the candidates except Elizabeth Warren so far. Let's talk to the panel here. Andrew, I'm wondering what you think, just kind of running through the top 4 or 5, what did they need to do now? I mean, what is Joe Biden clearly thinks South Carolina, or is saying that South Carolina he's going to win.
Well, the rest of the field needs to consolidate, ideally, and each candidate wants to be the last person standing to absorb the non-Bernie energy. The problem for Bernie is that, he's unlikely to get an outright majority of delegates heading into the convention, which is going to set the stage for the superdelegates to emerge. And then you're looking at a contested convention, which is also the dream scenario for all of the other non-Bernie candidates, because they're going to go in there with delegates. The superdelegates, let's say, are not going to be favorably disposed towards Bernie, and then each of the remaining candidates will say, like, I'm the pick. So that's the dream that's going to keep every other candidate in the race.
But I think what Andrew's trying to say is everybody needs to just drop out, which is a little bit true. The reality is we've now had 3 contests in which none of the other moderate candidates have been able to consolidate enough support to even really get that close to Bernie. I mean, looking at Nevada, this is a real blowout that we're seeing here. And it's a problem for all of these other candidates because one or more of them need to figure out, probably more in the vicinity of probably 2 or 3,
I was going to say,
figure out who's going to be the one to step back.
Someone needs to pull an Andrew Yang. Be like, I've done the math, I'm not going to win.
No road forward.
How hard is that for a candidate to have a conversation with himself or herself and her staff and say, okay.
That's why you have to hire Andrew Yang to do the math for them.
It's not gonna happen. I think it's gonna get nasty. Well, you can answer that then.
Well, it's tough going in both directions, Gloria, because we were talking about if you have a bad night and you get up in front of the crowd and be like, it was a great night. On some level it does ring hollow. It's hard to continue beating that drum. So it's hard to drop out, but in some cases it's hard to keep going.
But who should drop out? I mean, honestly, who's supposed to drop out for who at this point?
Well, they're not. And what we saw tonight, and particularly Pete Buttigieg, his speech was the never Bernie moment, the beginning of that campaign. I mean, it was raw and saying Sanders believes in an inflexible ideological revolution that leaves out most Democrats, not to mention most Americans, and then it gets nasty from there.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear a lot more of this, I would think, because finally Democrats realize they have to differentiate themselves. Biden didn't do it, and maybe he should have.
Pete gave this. A lot of people are saying Pete gave the speech that Joe Biden should have, but
okay,
he's still trying to take this momentum. But I think that I want everyone to keep this same energy next week, right? So now we're talking about a new front runner, although we've only had 3 primaries, three primaries to vote. But next week we go to South Carolina, and if Bernie Sanders doesn't come in first, I mean, is that a story? If he comes in,
he's not a new front runner. I mean, he was kind of the front runner. I mean, he's been kind of the top in the beginning.
Well, who? Bernie Sanders? I think tonight you can credibly say that Bernie Sanders displayed building a coalition necessary to be a front runner. It's very difficult to say that Bernie Sanders was the front runner before today when there wasn't.
You're pushing for Biden. Have you heard anybody say, "I really feel like Biden's on the upside"?
I'm not. Well, I think people after tonight are saying he's on the upside. I'm actually pushing for them to consolidate. You asked the question, who should drop out? The answer to the question is, who does not build that diverse coalition? If you're polling at 2-3% of African American community, yes, you should drop out and get behind somebody who's actually polling better, who can help be or drift off some of that anti-Bernie Sanders wind, as you call it.
And at this point, though, we're seeing Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, frankly, in other contests, pick up a lot of the moderate vote. I don't actually know that if the moderate candidates were to drop out, that would necessarily move those voters to the one left. I don't think people are looking at this in that sort of ideological divide.
Yeah, and I think that is interesting that Pete Buttigieg, you obviously have to draw contrast, but I think like when these ideas are so vastly popular across the Democratic electorate, taking away candidates, it's not just about ideology. It's about prioritizing the people in this country that feel forgotten.
But Medicare for All is not. I mean, do you say Medicare for All is widely popular across all the Democratic Party? Because it seems like all of the moderates do not want it. I mean, even Warren has pulled away from it.
62% of voters in Nevada and the last 3 states want government-run health care. I just found this out that half of all spending in Iowa was against Medicare for All. That's millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being spent attacking the idea of universal health care, and it is still coming out as a top issue for Democratic voters. The resilience of working people, especially when we have 184 million Americans right now that either don't have insurance or are underinsured, is massive, and I think that politicians shouldn't just pay attention to poll numbers. They should take a note from Bernie, who doesn't see polls as static, and instead is focused on how do I shift public opinion. I'm not going to change my message. I'm going to bring people along with me.
Even Pete Buttigieg, who is sort of the leading critic of Medicare for All, had to position his own program as Medicare for all who want it. It was sort of understood that Medicare for all seemed like a popular idea, and he needed not to say you can't have Medicare for all. His was a different version of Medicare for all. So the idea that it's not popular is just not.
Let me speak to why the Democratic establishment and other people are concerned about Bernie Sanders. In 1968, Nixon was elected. And much like Trump, the reaction from liberals and progressives was a big freak out. I mean, Nixon was completely outside of what was acceptable for Democrats at that time. And in '72, there now looks like a big overcorrection. And we have McGovern, who was too far to the left for the country in reaction to Nixon. And we lost, I think, 49 states, 48 states. And so I've been, trying to stick up for the Sanders movement. I do want to give a little bit of voice to the people at home who are saying, well, I feel uncomfortable. I'm afraid. There's a historical pattern that Bernie's got to be able to deal with, which is you have a very, very unpopular, very conservative president in Nixon, and then we go too far to the left and overcorrect. In order for Bernie Sanders to be able to say, I'm going to break the McGovern curse, that's his challenge now. To move the next, he's got to be able to say, I know how to build a winning coalition. And what you see in Nevada is the beginning of that.
Can I piggyback on what Van's talking about? Because that's a very real fear and consternation amongst many Democrats, is that the damage is not going to be whether or not we beat Donald Trump or not. That's not the concern around Bernie Sanders per se. It's also a very high concern for many people that Bernie Sanders is going to be a drag on the rest of the ticket. And so the places where Democrats need to win to either maintain their congressional seats or pick up a Senate seat, they will not be able to do. And my good friend Joe Cunningham, who had one of the biggest political upsets in this wave that came in when he won Mark Sanford's old seat, he just came out last week and said one of the things we're concerned about is Bernie Sanders at the top of the ticket making races that Democrats need to win more difficult.
And let me push back on this. Then this is the conversation now, I think, inside the party. And what I want to point out, people who have those concerns might find some comfort in the fact that over and over and over again, the polls show, unlike with McGovern and Nixon, that Bernie can beat Trump. And we always rush past that, and that should give more comfort to the party than it does.
But I'm sorry, just one last to put a button on this. I think that is some concern, but I think the way that Bernie quells that is with building coalitions like he did tonight, right? That actually shows people that maybe he can win in some of these other places by having these coalitions that he apparently was able to put together tonight. The test is, can he do that next week in South Carolina? And then can he do it in Tennessee? And can he do it in Virginia, in North Carolina, et cetera?
And when he does the tweet, as he did tonight, which I was complaining about earlier, when he took on the Democratic establishment, that's not good news for those moderate House Democrats who put themselves on the line for voting for Donald Trump's impeachment and put their congressional seats really very much in play. And they are worried that if you have someone at the top of the ticket who is dumping all over the Democratic so-called establishment, that they're the ones who are going to get thrown out, and that will not help them. So that kind of language internally among Democrats who really did walk, a very difficult line there, is not welcome.
Yeah, and I think that we have to acknowledge where voters' fears are, because I disagree slightly in that, yes, down ballot I'm sure is a concern, but I think most voters are concerned about who is going to be able to defeat Donald Trump. And so far, Bernie Sanders has been able to do that. But I think this goes back to the point of we can't just keep talking to the same people that we usually do in the Democratic Party. And when we think in, young people specifically, I think, when we think of the Democratic establishment, we think of a lot of that sort of ideology around who you talk to and what does it take to win. And when we are up against a Republican Party that is literally trying to, is trying to take advantage of this crisis legitimacy of our institutions, that is fighting to take away health care for millions of people, Democrats have to be for all health care. We have to be for universal health care. And I think we also have to remember that even when we had Democrats control both chambers, we still didn't get immigration reform passed in some cases. And so it does matter which Democrats that we get in there.
We're going to take a deep dive into our entrance poll for more insight into how Bernie Sanders won Nevada, how he may do in the contest ahead. We're back in a moment.
This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me.
There is a place we could be free. Rated PG.
The third stair always creaked, and your mother told me all her life that I should fix it. Now, it reminds me of her. I'm just glad I never fixed it.
Listen, you don't need to go anywhere, Dad.
Meet Christine. She's going to help you around the house.
The best home to be in is your own. From personal care and memory care to help around the house, Home Instead offers personalized in-home services for your loved ones. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
With Vroom, you can buy your next car from your phone and have it delivered straight to your driveway. Late model, low mileage Buttes like this one. Handpicked by the pickiest car picking people out there. Vroom cars are carefully inspected. Nice. And come with a Carfax. Sweet ride. Thousands of cars priced below market value. Hey, just go to vroom.com, pick your favorite, and they'll deliver it right to you.
These dancing lights are produced by creatures that have the strange ability to bioluminesce. Why? What is the light for? How is it made? Join me on a journey like no other and see things no humans have ever seen before.
David Attenborough's Light on Earth, now on the menu for on-demand viewing at CuriosityStream.
1 in 3 deaths is caused by cardiovascular disease. Millions of patients are treated with statins, but up to 75% persistent cardiovascular risk still remains. Many have turned to fish oil supplements, others fenofibrates or niacin. But here's a number you should take to heart: 0. The number of FDA approvals these products have when added to statins to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. Ask your doctor about an advancement in prescription therapies with proven protection. Visit truetoyourheart.com. Introducing new personal plans from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 18 pounds and 10 inches overall in your first 2 months, guaranteed. You'll see results in your first week.
Order your 28-day program right now and get 1 month of food free. That's right. Buy 1 month, get 1 free.
Lose weight and learn to keep it off. Your first 18 pounds, gone.
Go online or call 877-372-FIT6 right now and buy 1 month, get 1 free.
Charmin Ultra Soft.
It's softer than ever. Charmin Ultra Soft is softer than ever, so it's harder to resist. Okay, this is getting a little weird. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Live from Charleston, days before the South Carolina primary. Bloomberg's first town hall, plus Sanders, Buttigieg, Biden, Klobuchar, Warren. A two-night CNN event, 6 presidential town halls. Start Monday night at 8, only on CNN.
I'm Dari Rezvani, and I owe everything to this community. It's given me an education, the opportunity to build a business, and the ability to start a family. Well, kinda. I approve this message because we deserve a representative who stands in solidarity with us, who respects our differences, and whose commitment to the Valley is unshakable. Devin Nunes doesn't pass that test, and it's time we send someone to Washington who will.
What makes the best road trip? A ride with a roomy interior and rugged exterior. And don't forget the snacks. When your engine starts, so does your next adventure. Wouldn't it be nice to explore California in a new Toyota SUV? Lease the ready-for-anything RAV4 for just $279 a month. Or check out the deals on the game-changing RAV4 Hybrid. 2 years no-cost maintenance comes standard. Toyota, let's go places.
The Windsors, Inside the Royal Dynasty, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
Welcome back to our special coverage. I'm Wolf Blitzer in the CNN Election Center. A very impressive, very big win for Senator Bernie Sanders in the Nevada Democratic presidential caucuses. David Chalian is taking a close look at how he did it. David.
That's right, Wolf. These entrance polls provide us a roadmap to Bernie Sanders' victory tonight in Nevada. Among very liberal voters, key part of his coalition, they made up about 30% of the electorate in Nevada today, so it was a pretty liberal electorate. Bernie Sanders wins 49% of them. Warren at 17, Biden at 11, Buttigieg at 9, Steyer at 6. But this is a Sanders blowout category, very liberal, 30% of the electorate. And on health care, his Medicare for All position, as you've been hearing us talk about, is the dominant position inside this electorate tonight. 62% said they support Medicare for All instead of private insurance. Bernie Sanders wins 49% of that huge chunk of voters. And then you heard Senator Sanders in his speech down in Texas talking about a multi-generational, multi-racial movement he's building. Take a look at the age breakdown here. 17 to 29-year-olds, 66% of them go to Bernie Sanders. They make up 17% of the electorate, not the largest slice necessarily, but my God, Buttigieg is next at 10%. Huge Sanders category. They powered him to victory as well. And finally, here's that multiracial component, and I think these might be the most interesting numbers of the night in this entrance poll. 35% of the electorate in Nevada is non-white. We have not seen that in Iowa or New Hampshire, obviously predominantly white states. So this first test of a diverse electorate, Bernie Sanders wins that test. Among non-white voters, he got 44% of them. Joe Biden, who was looking to the non-white voters in the Democratic Party as his base, as his reason for being the frontrunner all last year, he's at 21%, significantly behind Sanders, then Steyer at 11, Warren at 8, and Buttigieg down at 7% with non-white voters. So Bernie Sanders passed this test of going to a more diverse place and showing he could still win by 23 points among these non-white voters tonight. All of that put together is how Bernie Sanders won the Nevada Democratic caucuses.
It's so impressive, I must say. David Chalian, we'll get back to you, Dana and John. You know, Dana, this is a very, very big win. But where does the candidate, Bernie Sanders, go from here? A week from today, South Carolina. Then 3 days later, Super Tuesday, 14 states, including California, Texas, really huge states require a lot of campaign money.
That's right, and that really is the day to look at for Bernie Sanders. It's March 3rd. The next contest, as you said, is South Carolina. It's going to be very important for momentum for other candidates. But if you look at the map,
for March 3rd, for Super Tuesday. First of all, if you look at the total number of delegates, it's about a third needed for the nomination that are up for grabs that day.
You need 1991.
That's right. But look, I just want to point out 2 states in particular, okay? Texas, right? This is where Bernie Sanders is today. This state in particular has 228 delegates alone possible to grab that day. And according to polls right now, it is early considering the calendar, he's doing well. It's very competitive for him, but he's doing well in Texas. And then let's look at California, another huge state, much bigger when it comes to the delegates, 415. Most polls have Bernie Sanders with a very healthy lead in California. So that's not even including the rest of the states that are going to see contests. You just look at these 2, and you assume, given the fact that he has momentum out of today's contest, he has the campaign cash, as you mentioned. He's got the volunteers. That is kind of exhibit A and B of why Pete Buttigieg came out and said that people are looking at him as somebody who has a glide path to the nomination.
Yeah, he's one thing we should point out: all of these states are proportionate. Right. They're not winner take all, unlike the Republicans. So they could split some of those delegates.
And a lot of Democrats think this is going to go on all the way. There are a lot of Democrats who posit that Bernie Sanders may well come out with the plurality of the delegates after this if he continues this momentum, but he won't have a majority. I would say just let's stop that talk for a minute. Let's take this one race at a time, right? What does Bernie Sanders have right now? He has money. He has momentum. Heading into a period of time where if you're Joe Biden, yes, we have to count the results still. Joe Biden says he won, quote unquote, by coming in second in Nevada today. Joe Biden has to win South Carolina. Joe Biden's not on television in any of the Super Tuesday states. Bernie Sanders, as Dana notes, in Texas tonight. He has a good organization in California. For the other candidates, they have this immediate priority of proving themselves. Joe Biden has to win South Carolina. Bernie Sanders, if you look what David was just talking about, especially younger African-American voters, can Bernie Sanders take this momentum and go in and win South Carolina, or at least give Joe Biden a run for his money in South Carolina? That's an interesting thing to watch in the week ahead. But the problem for the other candidates, except for Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer, who are writing unlimited checks, is they have to win, they have to focus to get a win. Bernie Sanders is everywhere. As David Chalian's fond of saying, sticky support, an organization left over from 2016 that he has only strengthened in most places heading into 2020. So he can take the longer-term view when Dana lays out this calendar. The other candidates, yes, Amy Klobuchar is going to focus Minnesota on Super Tuesday. Yes, you might think, okay, I can't, win in South Carolina. I'm going to go somewhere else. But you're at a point in the race. In some ways, it's an absurd conversation. People say, well, it's only 3 contests. How can you be saying? The other candidates will simply not be able to raise money.
He won. I was going to say, Dana, he won younger voters in Nevada with impressive numbers.
He did.
He won minorities, African-American voters with impressive numbers. He did what a lot of people didn't necessarily suspect he could do.
Yeah, the biggest win, according to entrance polls, and we have to see what happens actually after it's done, was with Latino voters. And they worked very, very hard inside the Sanders campaign to learn from, as you've been talking about, what they did or didn't do in 2016. The organization has been on the ground there for some time to try to do that. And that's why it does put into question whether or not he can continue to eat into some of the Joe Biden sort of support that he says he has, which he does have according to polls, among those same diverse groups, because that's what we've seen in the past. Winning begets winning. And if Bernie Sanders continues to look like a winner, that will only help him with all groups, including and especially groups of color.
And he has a very unique lane. Again, especially since he seems, Elizabeth Warren over the summer was challenging Bernie Sanders, and we were all having a conversation about, is the progressive vote in the party going to be split? And is that going to help a moderate emerge? Well, we flip it over. Bernie Sanders has so solidified, deeply solidified, the liberal base, the progressive base of the party. He's reaching over, at least in these early states. We'll see if he can continue it. You're getting a lot of incoming from Democrats saying, this electorate in Nevada was disproportionately liberal. So when you see Sanders picking up support among voters who describe themselves as moderate or conservative, a lot of people would argue, well, they're still left of center. We'll see if he can continue it. But he is expanding his coalition, and he has a very unique lane in the race, and everybody else is fighting for the I'm not Bernie vote. And so as long as you have that crowded center, if you will, of the Democratic race, Sanders can continue to win with 30% or more. The question is, how does that play out? But there's no incentive until one moderate alternative, centrist alternative, not Bernie alternative emerges, what's the incentive for the others to get out, which creates the cycle? They're not getting out. It's harder for somebody else to emerge.
We're going to see what happens. Everybody stand by. Coming up, Pete Buttigieg is warning Democrats against a rush to nominate Senator Bernie Sanders. Will his attack work? We heard it here live. We'll be right back.
Motor?
Nope.
Not motor?
It's pronounced motor.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
In America, we all count, no matter where we call home, how we worship, or who we love. And the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Because this is the count that informs where hundreds of billions in funding will go each year for things like education, healthcare, and programs that touch us all. Shape your future. Start here. Learn more at 2020census.gov.
Breakfast combos with all-you-can-eat pancakes? This calls for all-you-can-eat silverware. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes free with the purchase of any breakfast combo. Or just get the 2x2x2 combo with all-you-can-eat pancakes for just $4.99 Monday through Friday.
Heavenly hand cream. Heavenly hand cream? My hands get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 selling hand cream for guaranteed relief of dry, cracked hands. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my hands back.
We decided to go with Bathfitter after doing a lot of research.
Yeah, we loved how they could install a new tub right over the old one without tearing our bathroom apart.
Yeah, what we didn't expect was to be blown away by the quality. And that's what happened. They showed up in the morning, and by the end of the day, we had this absolutely beautiful new bathtub. It was better than we could have even imagined.
And it's guaranteed for life.
I actually love our bathroom now.
Book your free in-home consultation today. Call or visit bathfitter.com.
Have you ever wondered what the motorcade driver drives when they're not in a motorcade? This one drives a Volkswagen Passat.
I believe a company should focus on what they do best. At Caucuses, that's handcrafted, high-quality Western boots at a fair price. Because NetSuite shows me all my financials in one place, we stay focused on what we do best.
With NetSuite by Oracle, you get a full picture of your business. Finance, inventory, HR, customers, and more. It's everything you need to grow, all in one place. NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/boots.
Winning awards is great, but doing all the work that takes you there, that's the hard part. At Verizon, being reliable means working to always be reliable. It's why we earned more awards again this year, just like last year and the year before and years before that. All these awards are real proof that we built a network that really works for you. The network more people rely on. Now experience America's most awarded network on the phone you love, the amazing iPhone. Plus up to $650 off the latest iPhone when you switch, with Apple Music included.
Bernie Sanders is declaring that his grassroots movement is unstoppable after his victory tonight in the Nevada caucuses. His rival, Pete Buttigieg, is warning Democrats to beware of Sanders' revolution. Listen to what Buttigieg told his supporters.
Senator Sanders believes in an inflexible, ideological revolution that leaves out most Democrats, not to mention most Americans. I believe we can defeat Trump and deliver for the American people by empowering the American people to make their own health care choices with Medicare for all who want it. Senator Sanders believes in taking away that choice, removing people from having the option of a private plan and replacing it with a public plan, whether you want it or not.
It's interesting watching, Gloria, watching Buttigieg. I mean, he clearly set out to draw parallels between him and Sanders, whereas when we saw Biden, although I don't think I saw the entire Biden speech, the part I saw, he wasn't doing that at all. I mean, he was talking with the crowd, talking about, you know, the comeback kids.
On
like
to
that.
South Carolina.
Right,
Woo.
but he used the Buttigieg wisely used the opportunity to try to draw at least a parallel between him and another candidate.
Oh, well, he was merciless. I mean, he just kind of slashed Bernie Sanders. And, you know, we can prioritize either ideological purity or inclusive victory. We can either call people names online or we can call them into our movement. So he just went on and on about Bernie Sanders. It's clear he wants to make this a two-person race, and he wants it to be between himself and Bernie Sanders, and he's going to be the never Bernie. And Joe Biden just got up there and gave a victory speech, even though he didn't win, but they were so grateful, I think, in the campaign to actually be in the running on something and do well that I think they wanted to let Biden be Biden and do that.
I think that one of the reasons that Pete is doing this is toughness is one of the things that people want to see in anybody who's going to go up against Donald Trump. And so, you know, Biden is beloved. Biden just has to be a good Biden most days. And he was a good Biden tonight. Okay, he didn't have to do anything. He's Biden. But I think Pete has to show his toughness. And so I think by him saying, look, I will be the person, I will be the Dragon Slayer, I will stand up to Bernie Sanders, and I will say for you what everybody's saying about him on national television. I think in some ways it's going against Sanders. It's also trying to demonstrate the toughness of his character, which is why if it worked for him, it'll work for him in two ways.
But I think you know what he said was just flat out wrong. There is not right now, at least, and you know we have to wait to the upcoming contest, a majority of Americans that don't believe in Bernie Sanders. It's showing that, including in all of the national polling heading into most of the states, he's on the upward trajectory, and I'm sure he's going to get a bump. So I think that is a little bit disingenuous of a take, but I think that we have to remember that 4 years ago, or for 4 years, progressives, I think, have been made to feel small, like they are a tiny fraction of America, that we're divisive, and that we have to wait be patient for these changes to be made. And right now, at least in Nevada and what looks like across America, people are rejecting that notion that they have to wait for these things, and there's a sense of urgency that people seem to feel on not only defeating Donald Trump, but prioritizing the poor and working class.
But we just had one of the most progressive presidents in the country's history recently. I mean, let's not erase Barack Obama. I mean, let's not erase.
Who's doing that?
Nobody is erasing Barack Obama.
But when saying that progressives felt small, like they weren't a part of anything, all I'm saying is that no. I mean, we've always had we had Barack Obama, who gave us Obamacare, who ensured tens of millions of people who otherwise wouldn't be there. And so I think
the split in the party, though, wasn't about Obama. All of us love Obama. It was about Hillary versus Bernie.
Yeah.
And so the Bernie progressives, I think, have felt.
I just want to add that there is a new generation of Democratic voters that look a lot more like me, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, than they do Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden. I agree, and I think that Barack Obama is one of the many movements that have opened up the space to make these things possible. We stand on the shoulder of giants, but you cannot also erase the work of millions of young people like myself and others who have been working very, very hard over the past 4 years to make
the most popular figure in our party, the person who expanded our party the most, I want everybody to understand, was a progressive president. He is a progressive figure, and although Bernie Sanders has moved the window, it's a paradigm shift in the party. We've become more progressive. I don't dispute that, but I also want to. It's not as if Bakari Sellers, who's a Democrat from South Carolina, got elected and served for 8 years simply because I'm more moderate, simply because I find myself. It doesn't mean that I'm excluding anyone else. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we're not including progressive voices.
No,
and I want people to.
For this election, since Donald Trump, we have been hearing a lot about electability. The way we frame this question, would you rather have somebody who can beat Donald Trump or somebody who agrees with you on the issues, literally sets up the frame that progressives can't win at the same rate that moderates can. And I think we're seeing in these contests that that's just not true.
Well, I think
there is a major movement behind it.
I don't think that we know really the answer to that question. I mean, we have been looking at 3 Democratic primary contests in very small pools of voters. And I think the big debate that's happening in the Democratic Party right now is between the sort of Sanders progressive camp that says, actually, the country is with us on these issues, and then the Biden camp and the Buttigieg camp that says, actually, we don't think that in a general election that Medicare for all, specifically a Medicare for all that eliminates private insurance, is the answer to to what the voters are looking for, particularly when you get to a sort of more independent voter or moderate voter. So I actually think that is not settled yet. That is the central debate that they're having right now. And if you are on the other side of Bernie Sanders on this issue, and you're not taking that fight to Sanders, I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I think that we're at the stage now where they have to make the case to voters that there is an alternative to the guy who's winning right now, and nobody has wanted to do that so far.
I think this was really smart by Pete, and he was clearly trying to do it on the debate stage earlier this week, and it became pile on Bloomberg. And meanwhile, Bernie was just like sailing out, being like, hey, I'm the front runner, I guess I'm just gonna coast. And Pete was like, no, I'm gonna like try to jab you, Bernie. And he did it tonight, and I can guarantee you he's gonna do it on Tuesday night, because Pete sees that Bernie's the front runner. He's trying to become the alternative to Bernie, and the best way to do that is by saying, I am the alternative to Bernie. So I think that other candidates should probably follow suit. I think Amy, Joe, Elizabeth should be trying to contrast themselves with Bernie more.
Biden tried on guns. He tried on Medicare for all, right? He's tried, but Buttigieg is just surgical about it, and he is so good.
But it's also about policy. It's also about style. I think that's the other element.
But this also all changes because Joe Biden gave a short speech, got on a plane, and is now going to be in a North Charleston Baptist church tomorrow. You can always tell what's going to happen and where people are going and where their strategy about where they're campaigning. Bernie Sanders may run into a wall next week.
Still ahead, what are the odds that any of Bernie Sanders' Democratic opponents can stop him? Our resident odds maker, Harry Enton, joins us next.
And Doug.
Give me your hand! I can save you! Lots of money with Liberty Mutual. We customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
When managing diabetes, you can't always stop for a finger stick. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you don't have to. With a painless 1-second scan, you can check your glucose with a smartphone or reader, so you can stay in the moment, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Ask your doctor for a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
If you looked at America like a bird, and that was all you knew, would you really understand it with just that point of view? We've got a different way to look at it, from right here on the ground. We don't just see United States, we see United Towns. From where we sit, just down the street, near the post office, by the park, when we stop and look around, what we see are sparks. Sparks of hope, of compassion, of communities who stand firm, when neighbors lift each other up, expecting nothing in return. We're grateful for what you bring, and all the sparks you've shown, and the thousands of towns that we get to call home.
Coming to HLN. All new episodes of Forensic Files with all new mysteries to solve. Forensic Files 2 premieres tomorrow at 10, only on HLN.
Oh no, here comes the neighbor. Probably to brag about how amazing his Xfinity customer service is. I'm Mike. I'm so busy.
Good thing Xfinity has 2-hour appointment windows.
They have night and weekend appointments too. He's here.
Bill? Carolyn?
No?
No, just a couple of rocks.
Download the My Account app to manage your appointments, making today's Xfinity customer service simple, easy, awesome.
I'll pass.
It's all about the marriage of the spice and the wood and the smoke and the meat. It just takes a lot of love to get the fire the way you want it, but it's such a better product. We do baby back ribs, tri-tip, St. Louis ribs, burnt ends, and you've got to have the fried chicken with the honey Q sauce. Killer. Every single time I step up to the plate with a meal, I try to hit it out of the park.
The Windsors, Inside the Royal Dynasty, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
We got a key race alert. We projected already that Senator Bernie Sanders is the winner of the Nevada Democratic Presidential Caucus, but we're getting some numbers now in from the Nevada Democratic Party. 11% of the precincts now reporting as far as the all-important county delegates are concerned, and that will determine how many delegates go to the candidates. Look at this, Senator Sanders with 44.1%, former Vice President Biden 25%, Pete Buttigieg 14%, Elizabeth Warren 8.4%, everybody else much, much lower. Bernie Sanders is clearly celebrating a very critical, important win tonight in the Nevada caucuses. He has the wind at his back right now, heading into the next round of contests, including delegate-rich Super Tuesday on March 3rd. Let's break down what happens next with our odds maker, Harry Enton, who's joining us. Harry, you've been looking at the numbers. Is there a candidate right now who can actually stop Bernie Sanders?
You know, I think that's the correct question to ask, Wolf. And I'll just be flat out honest with you. Bernie Sanders is hot, 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 hot right now. You know, if we're talking about the chance of having a plurality of delegates, the most delegates, look at where Bernie Sanders was before Iowa. He just had a 3 in 10 shot of having the most delegates. But now he's shot up to a 7 in 10 shot. And the reason for that is look how well he did in Iowa. Look how well he did in New Hampshire. Look how well he is doing this evening. You know, you win the first 3 contests or you tie in the first 3 contests, that's a pretty good sign for you going forward. And while Bernie Sanders has a 7 in 10 shot, look at where Joe Biden is, right? Take a look here. Before Iowa, he had a 4.5 in 10 shot. You know, he was the favorite to win or to have the most delegates at the end of this. Now he's down to just a 1 in 10 shot. He is going southward. And, you know, looking forward, South Carolina, obviously a week from today. And look at this. You know, Joe Biden hopes that South Carolina can be the place that revives his campaign. And while he is leading in the latest Winthrop University poll from that state, look at where Bernie Sanders is. He's at 19%, just 5 points behind Joe Biden. He could deliver the knockout blow in South Carolina and continue the momentum that he has built in the first 3 contests so far. You know, Harry, we're only about 10 days out from Super Tuesday, March 3rd, 14 states, including California and Texas. Bloomberg will be on the ballot then for the first time. Can he slow down Bernie Sanders' momentum? You know, I think that is the key question, right? Mike Bloomberg has not been on the ballot in the first 3 contests. He will not be on the ballot in South Carolina. And, you know, if you look at the national polls, you look at where Bernie Sanders is, you look at that historically, that's a very good position to be in. And, you know, if you look at the money race, which I think is so important because that gives you the indication of why Mike Bloomberg might be able to stop or at least slow the momentum of Bernie Sanders. Look at how much money, my goodness gracious, nearly $160 million that Mike Bloomberg has spent in the Super Tuesday states. Bernie Sanders, of really the competitive candidates so far, is closest at nearly $11 million. But look at the bottom of that graphic. Joe Biden, who was once the front runner in this campaign, has spent zero, count them, $0 in the Super Tuesday states. Even if he goes on to win in South Carolina, I'm not exactly sure how he's able to transfer that to momentum in the Super Tuesday states, given how much money he has spent, $0 in those Super Tuesday
There's
states.
no doubt about that. Harry, thank you very, very much. Let's go back to Dana and John. So it looks like a crushing win for him tonight, Bernie Sanders.
And the question at this point, first of all, yes, and we've talked a lot about what that means for Bernie Sanders, and he, you know, deserves to get the all of the discussion around what it means and what he's achieved tonight. But we still got an open space for number 2, and because of the splintered race, because there's so much anticipation about what happens with number 2. That is sort of the next big question tonight. And we only have 11% reporting still for the county delegates, which are the money numbers that will determine where the delegates in Nevada go. We don't know exactly. We know the Biden campaign claims that he's going to come in second. The Buttigieg campaign claims that he's going to come in second. So that's going to be one of the next questions of the evening.
I think, number one, we don't know what happens beneath Bernie Sanders tonight because the results are so preliminary right now. It's clear that Sanders is going to win in Nevada, and it seems pretty clear he's going to win by a pretty good margin. We don't know what's coming in after him. We just don't because we're at such 4% reporting. We started off early complimenting the Nevada Democratic Party. Now I think we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, what's happening here? We need some explanations about why this is taking so long. Let's hope they're just being triple careful. We get them soon, and we move on. But there are candidates and people in the campaigns out there who might end up doing better than what their numbers say right now, who are tomorrow going to be complaining about another caucus process that took way too long to report the votes. Now, going forward, Harry made a good point about Joe Biden, not broke, but not flush with money. So he's focusing on South Carolina right now. If he wins South Carolina, of course, that gives him a springboard. Of course, he's back in the race. But he will not have had money on TV in these Super Tuesday states. I think that is the part when you take the Sanders organization, that Sanders can raise money organically through the internet. He just keeps raising it as he goes through it, the small donors and the like, and the Bloomberg and Steyer effect that I don't know what happens to the other candidates. And I think that the great uncertainty beneath Bernie Sanders is the question in this race. Will someone emerge? Do the others just stay in? After South Carolina, do you get the reassessment? It seems to be, from all the incoming from the candidates tonight, tell me if yours is different, that everybody says, okay, Nevada's Nevada. Now we're on to South Carolina. We're going to hang in through Super Tuesday. That can change pretty quickly if you're disappointed. But right now it looks like, again, I'm a broken record a bit, but Bernie Sanders has a unique and I think a bigger lane than we thought. Not maybe huge, but a slightly bigger lane than we thought on the left of the party, where he has it, while they wrestle over everything else. And so the uncertainty continues, which benefits Sanders.
It's interesting, Dana, because at the last Democratic presidential debate, most of the candidates, the Democratic candidates, ran after Michael Bloomberg. That was his first time on the debate stage. Did they miss an opportunity to go after Bernie Sanders, and will they next Tuesday at the next Democratic presidential debate?
Well, you can bet that they are going to go after Bernie Sanders. There was a little of it, but it got completely overshadowed by Mike Bloomberg because he was the new guy on the stage, and he hadn't been challenged because he didn't sit down for a lot of interviews by people like us, and so they wanted to take the chance. Just really quickly, Harry talked about Bloomberg in the context of money. Tom Steyer is not Bloomberg. I want to say that very clearly. I understand that everybody understands. But just look, before we kind of go off of Nevada, at how much money, especially compared to the other candidates, Tom Steyer spent on ads. $15.5 million on ads. And Bernie Sanders, who looks like he is just running away with it, spent even close, the next to that, and it wasn't even close, it was $2 million. So doesn't look like, I mean, again, it's early, doesn't look like he's going to get a lot of bang for that buck, but it also is a reminder that, yes, money got him onto the debate stage, it got him, poll numbers with regard to public opinion polls, but when it comes to the votes, he spent a lot here, and it doesn't look like it's going to pay off.
He does have better standing in South Carolina, where he's also spent a lot of money.
That is
It'll be
true.
interesting to see. But again, at some point, you have to perform. Steyer is up in the polls in South Carolina. Moving up, we'll see if that holds up because he has spent a ton of money there.
Yeah, money talks, as they say in politics. All right, we're about to hear from Elizabeth Warren and get her take on the Nevada results. That's coming up right after a break.
Everything she does
Back off!
is because she never loses sight of what's important. Put you on a military transport tonight.
Hell yes.
No one's backing down on either side. We have a bona fide crisis.
We'll follow it up together. Get to the truth.
I did what had to be done.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But not for your clients. That's why we're a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios?
Nope. We tailor portfolios to our clients' needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right?
We don't have those.
So what's in it for you?
Our fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Tackle is the nation's leading app for finding help for small jobs. But sometimes our customers are looking for help with larger projects. That's why we will be launching Tackle Plus to help our customers find help for big jobs. We're looking for contractors and licensed professionals who are interested in receiving leads from Tackle. If you operate a business in any of these specialties, please visit tackleplus.com. Sign up is easy, and you'll never be charged for a lead you didn't request. Visit tackleplus.com today.
I had a dream. Jimmy Carter asked me why I wanted his job, and I told him I didn't want his job. I want to be president.
Race for the White House, Reagan versus Carter, tomorrow at 9 on CNN.
Live from Charleston, days before the South Carolina primary, Bloomberg's first town hall, plus Sanders, Buttigieg, Biden, Klobuchar, Warren. A two-night CNN event, 6 presidential town halls, starting Monday night at 8, only on CNN.
I'm Dari Rezvani, and I owe everything to this community. It's given me an education, the opportunity to build a business, and the ability to start a family.
Well, kinda. I approve this message because we deserve a representative who stands in solidarity with us, who respects our differences, and whose commitment to the Valley is unshakable. Devin Nunes doesn't pass that test. And it's time we send someone to Washington who will.
Work emails, gutters to clean, and sinks to fix. Leave it all behind and explore California. Wouldn't it be nice to adventure out in a new Toyota truck? Get 1,000 cash back on the rugged Tacoma, or choose the adventure-ready Tundra and get 2,000 cash back. Both come with 2 years no-cost maintenance. Toyota, let's go places.
The Windsors, Inside the Royal Dynasty, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
And welcome back. We were waiting to hear from Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is the only candidate, I think, other than Tom Steyer, that we have not heard from so far tonight. We'll obviously bring you her comments live as well. There's a statement put out by her campaign manager that I think we have put on the screen, essentially saying, there it is, some notes on the state of the race. The Vegas debate shook this election up. The Elizabeth Warren. The Elizabeth Warren. I was looking at the wrong screen. The Elizabeth Warren vote share appears to have gone up more than 50% between early vote and those who caucus today. We've raised $9 million in 3 days and more than $21 million this month.
So her basic argument is that the debate is more important than the election. That's basically her argument. So listen, if you want to understand where this thing is going, pay no attention to the election results. Look at the debate and the impact of the debate.
That's not what she's saying. She's saying that she got considerably a bigger share of the vote post-debate than pre-debate.
But we can't
as I
confirm
said.
that.
Well, I think what
we can't confirm those numbers. Just
Yeah,
I
think the most important thing that he said is that they raised $21 million so far this month.
Yeah.
Frankly, the
That's
fact
impressive.
Bernie Sanders raised $25 million in January. That was by far larger than any of the other campaigns. $21 million at this stage in the campaign in February when she's polling where she is and performing in the elections where she is a huge number, and it's one that sets her up to actually make a play in the elections that come next because she has the financial resources to do it, whereas a lot of the other campaigns
during that debate than any candidate in the Democratic field has, including Bernie, has raised during a debate. So it really was a major moment that does shake up the race. I don't think she's discounting the early vote.
In that tweet storm that he did, the two things that were missing were South Carolina and where she would actually win.
Exactly.
Like no one can point to a state on Super Tuesday where Elizabeth Warren is poised to be a victor. Right. And so I think that with all the money she raised and an awesome debate performance, no one can still answer the very fundamental question of where does Elizabeth
We
live?
also can't confirm, by the way, any of that.
But it's worse than that in that just as a technical matter, she can't spend that money quickly enough to save her in South Carolina, right? It's a technical matter. There's only so many people you can hire. There's only so many ads that you can buy. And so that $20 million has to help her in Super Tuesday. Yeah. Super Tuesday, any state, California, you could blow through $21 million in California. That's one state out of 14. So, listen, I'm not taking anything away from Elizabeth Warren. I think she has been the most phenomenal debater. Everybody calls her the best athlete on the field. I think that she actually helped to consolidate the progressive cause, even though Bernie benefited from it. She really did a lot of the case making for the progressive cause that is now supporting Bernie Sanders. And I think she could still pull off a miracle. But I just don't, this type of stuff, when you're basically trying to spin a disaster, I just don't like it.
Right, and when you look at her, I agree with you. When you look at her numbers with black voters in Nevada, it's low double digits. One of the entrance polls has it at 12%, and Hispanics at 7%. This may be outdated by now, but it wasn't high up there. By contrast, for example, Biden was at 34 or 35%, and Bernie Sanders 28 or whatever it ends up with. So it wasn't as if she did well with the base of the Democratic Party that you're going to need in South Carolina. But I think their point is she succeeded too late in breaking out of the pack, and that was a problem for her. But you have to have great timing in politics.
I mean,
She didn't have it.
I mean, there is a debate coming up in a couple of days.
Well,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
but you can't do the old tricks. I mean, maybe she's got something else up her sleeve.
I'm a huge admirer of Elizabeth's. But I referenced this a little bit earlier on. They made a very big bet early on in terms of hiring field organizers, not just in the early states, but around the country. And those organizers are not something that you can just adjust and recalibrate that quickly. They're not like ad spending. And so they have a really fixed overhead that's higher than many of the other campaigns. They get these resources in. They've been playing it close to the bone in terms of the finances. They took out a loan recently that I'm sure they've long since paid back. But to Van's point, it's going to be hard to activate these resources in a way that's going to move the needle towards victory in one of the states that are upcoming.
We're going to take a quick break. We're standing by to hear from Senator Warren after this break.
So we both know there's Nazis living in America.
You know what the best revenge is? Revenge.
Let's do a little dance, make a little love, and get down tonight.
Showtime. It's about justice for 11 million people.
The third stair always creaked, and your mother told me all her life that I should fix it. Now, it reminds me of her. I'm just glad I never fixed it.
Listen, you don't need to go anywhere, Dad.
Meet Christine. She's going to help you around the house.
The best home to be in is your own. From personal care and memory care to help around the house, Home Instead offers personalized in-home services for your loved ones. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Have you ever wondered what the motorcade driver drives when they're not in a motorcade? This one drives a Volkswagen Passat.
.76% of 23andMe health customers surveyed reported taking healthier actions because they know that health doesn't begin or end with a resolution. Health happens now. Get more than 150 personalized genetic reports from 23andMe.
I'm your 70-pound St. Bernard puppy, and my lack of impulse control is about to become your problem.
No, come on. I saw you eating poop earlier. Hey!
My focus is on the road, and that's saving me cash with DriveWise. Who's the dummy now?
Forget Allstate, where good drivers save 40% for avoiding mayhem, like me.
Sorry! He's a baby!
No matter what business you're in, digital transformation never stops.
Verizon keeps business ready for what's next.
We weave security into their business,
virtualize their operations,
and can even build AI into their customer experiences.
We also keep them ready for the next big opportunity,
like 5G,
where machines could talk to each other and expertise could go anywhere.
When it comes to digital transformation,
Verizon keeps business ready.
Is mealtime a struggle? Introducing Ore-Ida Potato Pay.
Where Ore-Ida Golden Crinkles are your crispy currency to pay for bites of this? With this. When kids won't eat dinner, potato pay them to. Ore-Ida, win at mealtime.
Breakfast combos with all-you-can-eat pancakes? This calls for all-you-can-eat silverware. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes free with the purchase of any breakfast combo. Or just get the 2x2x2 combo with all-you-can-eat pancakes for just $4.99 Monday through Friday.
Yummy lip balm! Yummy lip balm? My lips get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keefe's Lip Repair. It's all-day moisture in one use and is guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked lips. Thanks to O'Keefe's, I got my lips back.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
You're looking at some live pictures coming in from Seattle, Washington. That's where Elizabeth Warren's campaign headquarters happens to be tonight. She got out of Nevada a while ago. David Chalian is taking a close look. David, we're going to be hearing from Elizabeth Warren fairly soon. You're looking at the exit polls and how some of these so-called second-tier candidates, the entrance polls, I should say, how the second-tier candidates did.
Right. We've been talking a lot about Sanders' strength, obviously, and his big victory tonight. The other side of the equation, where his opponents are doing strong and where you may see them try to extend that advantage. Among moderate voters, 31% of the electorate, same share size as the very liberal voters. That's where you see Biden at 25%. Sanders in there, too. That's why he's doing so well. He's competitive here, and Buttigieg at 20. But you see, this is an advantage that Biden and Buttigieg are going to try to extend and build upon. Take a look at opponents of Medicare for All. Again, the vast majority today support Medicare for All, but the 35% of Nevada Democrats today, Wolf, who are opposed to it, that's a group Joe Biden's winning with 29% of the vote, followed by Pete Buttigieg with 23% of the vote. So this is where they're going to continue to press their argument and expand that advantage. Take a look at college graduates, white college graduates. They make up 37% of the electorate. This is another place where you see, yes, Sanders wins this group, 24%. Again, he had a very big victory today. But you see where Buttigieg is so competitive here. And then Klobuchar, Buttigieg at 20, Klobuchar at 16. In fact, Biden is down at 15 here. So this is where one place we see Buttigieg really edging ahead of Biden. And then, of course, the Biden strength with African-American voters. They make up 10%, 11% of the electorate tonight in Nevada. Biden has a 39% of those African-American voters. Sanders gets 27, 12 points behind. And you don't even see Pete Buttigieg on this board. You see Steyer at 16, Warren at 10, Klobuchar at 3. Buttigieg is down at 2. This is clearly a place that Biden is seeking to expand upon as he heads into South Carolina. So those are the areas where you're going to see the non-Sanders candidate try to press their edge. But as we see tonight, Sanders is just so competitive with them in some of these places and owning other areas of the party like liberals and young voters. Well,
that's a very important point. And Dana, about 60% of the Democratic primary voters in South Carolina are African American.
Right. I mean, that's why Joe Biden has said that it's his firewall. And, you know, he was speaking the truth. It is and could be. The flip side of it being his firewall is that if he doesn't do extremely well there, you say win. I mean, I don't, who knows? He's going to be in big trouble.
He said win today.
He used that word.
Okay, so he did use win. So he's setting the expectations high, which is quite different from what the Biden campaign did for the first two contests of this cycle. But so it's going to be a test for him, but it also is going to be, which is the point that David was making there, interesting to see how Bernie Sanders does with that sector of the population, given the fact that if he is really as in the hunt for the nomination, as it looks like he is, he's going to need to continue to pick up diverse voters in addition to the young people and the other sort of more the progressives, others that have been his natural base for a long time.
It's a fascinating moment for all of the campaigns, but for Biden in particular. South Carolina does have a history of sort of, shifting the Democratic race or righting the Democratic race. Barack Obama went in there in 2008, beat Hillary Clinton. It proved he was a credible viable potential nominee. Almost game over. That went on for a long time, but he locked up the support of the most reliable part of the Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton won there against Bernie Sanders last time. She swept the state because Sanders did not have significant support among African Americans. What David just showed us there in Nevada is interesting in the sense that you see it when you talk to African American voters, this generational divide. A lot of the younger voters are with Bernie Sanders because he owns that age group across all demographics, racial and ethnic demographics. Do they stay there? The older voters more with Biden? And what does Tom Steyer do? Tom Steyer, again, he has spent a lot of money in South Carolina. A lot of his ads have been about climate change. From the beginning, in South Carolina, he went in early. He's targeting an African-American constituency. He decided to put a big bet on climate change. That is an issue that plays more with the younger constituency. So does Tom Steyer somehow hurt Bernie Sanders there? Does he hurt Joe Biden there with African-Americans? Whatever piece he gets is coming from somebody else. That's part of the fascinating chess game of the week ahead.
And Senator Bernie Sanders, he did well with the Latino vote in Nevada today, which presumably bodes encouraging for him in California and Texas, where a nice percentage of the Democratic vote in both of those states is Latino.
That's exactly right. And that is, at least right now, particularly in California, most of the polls show that he's doing extremely well. And that's when, enter onto the stage Mike Bloomberg, who is spending gobs of money in California in order to try to eat into that. I mean, technically he might not be eating into Bernie Sanders support, maybe other people's support, but to eat into, since it is proportional, to the number of delegates that Bernie Sanders gets in a place like California.
Have we ever seen the kind of money that Michael Bloomberg is spending right now? What, $400 million already, approaching $500 million? You and I have covered politics for a long time. Have we ever seen anyone spend personal money at that kind of level?
In a word, no. If you go back to the Perot campaign, as a third-party campaign,
Ladies and gentlemen, due to technical difficulty, we'll be taking a short break until we can see if we can get this back up.
It's a 7 in 10 shot of winning that plurality of delegates, and that's way up from before Iowa. And more than that, Bernie Sanders is benefiting from a very divided competition. I mean, we can go through the candidates here and take a look here. Someone like a Joe Biden, right? If you look at how he is only at a 1 in 10 shot of winning the most amount of delegates, that's down from a 4.5 in 10 shot. He was the favorite, or at least a front runner before Iowa. Now he's just at a 1 in 10 shot. Look at Bloomberg, right? Look where Bloomberg is. He's at a 1 in 10 shot. That's a little bit up from before Iowa, but again, not a very large shot. We can just keep the list going here. And what you see here is just that the rest of the candidates, look at someone like Elizabeth Warren. She is now at a 0.5 in 10 shot. She's actually down from before Iowa. So even though she's rallying her troops in Washington, the fact is the chance of her winning a plurality is quite low at this point. Or look at someone like a Pete Buttigieg, right? Look at this. He's at a 0.5 in 10 shot. Another candidate with not a very good shot of winning a plurality of delegates. And finally, take a look here. Look at Amy Klobuchar, right? A 0.1 in 10 shot. That is a 1 in 100. And that might even be high. And, she can claim all of this about unexpected finishes, but the fact is her chance of winning a plurality of delegates at the end of the day, not very good, Wolf.
Yeah, disappointing numbers for her, especially in Nevada. Harry, we're 10 days out from Super Tuesday? 1/3 of the total delegates will be decided. Does that at least partially explain why there are still so many candidates in the race?
I think it does. They're all holding out hope that on Super Tuesday they can have this big, glorious sort of momentous occasion. They can grab all these delegates. But the fact of the matter is, by having all those candidates in there, it's actually benefiting Bernie Sanders. And he is the one also, if you look at the money that's being spent right now, look at this. Look, Michael Bloomberg is the one who's far and away spending the most amount of money, right? $160 million. But if those candidates like Klobuchar, Warren, Gabbard, Biden, Buttigieg, they're all at basically, Klobuchar is the most at $2 million, but the rest of them all at $500,000 or less. And the fact is, unless they can somehow garner momentum in the next 10 days, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop Bernie Sanders.
All right, Harry, thanks very much. We're going to continue our special coverage much more ahead. We're looking ahead to the next presidential debate. We're looking ahead a week from today to South Carolina. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we're going to need 500 more units pronto.
We don't have that kind of money right now, Carl.
You will in 10 minutes. That's how long it will take you to get funding through Cabbage. I know. I'm 10 minutes in the future spokes guy.
What's happening?
And I'm 10 days in the future spokes guy. That Cabbage funding helped you win the Gundelfinger account. Congratulations.
What's a Gundelfinger?
And I'm from 10 years in the future.
Cabbage. Business funding in as little as 10 minutes.
What'd I miss?
I have always wanted to do this. This is gonna be awesome. Let's do this!
Babe, what are you doing?
Gonna demo the bathroom. Who are you?
The bath fitter installer, remember? Bath fitter custom made our new bath to fit perfectly over the old one, so there's no demo or mess.
Impressive. Wait, so no demo? Sorry, man.
Bath Fitter will remodel your bath with no messy demolition in as little as 1 day. Call now or visit bathfitter.com for a free in-home consultation.
5 steps for perfect winter skin.
5 steps? My skin gets so dry and itchy, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keefe's Skin Repair. It's 48-hour moisture in one use and guaranteed relief for dry, itchy skin. Thanks to O'Keefe's, I got my skin back.
Winning awards is great, but doing all the work that takes you there, that's the hard part. At Verizon, being reliable means working to always be reliable. It's why we earned more awards again this year, just like last year and the year before and years before that. All these awards are real proof that we built a network that really works for you. The network more people rely on. Now experience America's most awarded network on the phone you love, the amazing iPhone. Plus up to $650 off the latest iPhone when you switch, with Apple Music included.
I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, little bit more.
Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
Live from Charleston, days before the South Carolina primary, Bloomberg's first town hall, plus Sanders, Buttigieg, Biden, Klobuchar, Warren. A 2-night CNN event, 6 presidential town halls, starting Monday night at 8, only on CNN.
As your police chief for the last 18 years, I've seen firsthand the increase of homelessness throughout our city. Its root causes are drug and alcohol abuse, mental illness, abandoned veterans, and displaced domestic violence victims and their children. There is an answer. Navigation centers, temporary tent shelters that will get the homeless off our streets and into programs they need to become productive members of our city. If they work for our soldiers, they will certainly work for our homeless.
It's a President's Day celebration at Selma Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Now's your chance to score with our MVP. Introducing maximum value pricing. Savings will be clearly posted. New 2019 Ram 1500s with $10,844 net savings off MSRP. Or buy new 2019 Jeep Renegades with $6,612 net savings off MSRP. These are MVP savings that you don't want to miss. Hurry into Selma Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today.
I'm David Culver in Beijing, China, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
I think all of you know we won the popular vote in Iowa. We won the New Hampshire primary. And according to 3 networks in the AP, we have now won the Nevada caucus.
Victorious Bernie Sanders speaking tonight a little bit earlier. It is now on to South Carolina. Let's talk about what the candidates face there. Bacardi Sailors.
Take it away.
It finally comes home. I'm so excited about this. About 60% of the electorate are going to be African American voters. The electorate's going to skew older, and it's going to be a heavy lift that the majority of the voters are going to be, the people going to move the polls, are going to be African American women. We always refer to black women as being the base voters of the party. They're the super voters. They're the ones who come out throughout the South and in a lot of these swing states that are necessary to beat Trump. And so this is the first time which they will have a huge impact on this race. I mean, does Bernie Sanders' momentum take him through? And I think when we're analyzing, when the media and everyone else are looking at South Carolina next week, my only advice is keep that same energy. Like, if Joe Biden is going to be the front runner, if he's going to be the person who carries the banner, he has to do well with African American voters, period. The electorate tonight was 10% black. It was his first test. But next week is going to be 50 to 60% black. If he's still polling at 15%, at 12%, below 20%.
You mean Bernie?
Bernie. I'm sorry, Bernie. If he's still polling below 20%, that's going to be a problem. And Joe Biden, you can't win this race next week by 3-4 points. You can't.
Well, they've been calling it their firewall for months and months, and now they kind of have to prove it. I think the question is not only black voters, but also the problem Joe Biden has is that he can't get anybody under 65 to vote for him. And that's it's almost true. And that's going to be a real issue for him, even in South Carolina, where, as you were saying, the voting population skews older.
And the small point is that it's not small because it's a lot of money, but Tom Steyer's already dumped $17 million into South Carolina, right? And so, there are two things. One, does Tom Steyer siphon any votes from Joe Biden? It's a possibility. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if Tom Steyer beats Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, these known names, that is another narrative that says, wait a minute, these people may not be viable going into Super Tuesday.
Or does Tom Steyer crater?
Which he might.
Which he did tonight.
I mean, if you look at what happened tonight, he was expected to do. I mean, I don't know that I believe the polls showing him. There were some polls showing him doing really, really well. But I think people were expecting him to do a little bit better than he's doing now. And so it's a real question how durable his support is, especially now that we have a train of events that have shown one person to basically be at the top of the pack. I want to see, when we get to South Carolina, what does the electorate do now that they start to see people winning? How does that affect how people perceive some of the other candidates, how they perceive their electability or lack thereof? And that's a Joe Biden question, but it's also a big Bernie Sanders question. Winning begets winning, and I think that for Bernie Sanders, he stands to benefit a lot from this narrative coming out of Nevada.
One thing to watch out for, Abby, and this happened to me in Iowa. I got 5% of the popular vote, and then the graphic showed 1%. I was very like, arr. So with Tom, it shows 3.7, but he got 8 or 9 of the popular. It's just the caucus dynamics. He was below viability, and he got compressed as a result. So I think that his numbers in South Carolina may be closer to his polling.
So if Steyer doesn't do well, though, next week, and he is running for president of South Carolina with all those ads, if he doesn't do well, don't you think that's the end of the road?
But I mean, he spent $15 million tonight, and I think that's the point. I think that he spent $15 million tonight in Nevada.
Right.
And he came out with the result that has him fifth.
Barely.
I mean, and so the question is there a ceiling on money? And I think the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Let me say something. I mean, you are, obviously the expert on South Carolina.
I lost my last election.
Well, I will leave that for you and your therapist. But what I will say is that my family's from Tennessee. I talk to a lot of African American voters in the South. I think there's a quest. I think there's a jump ball on the black vote. You're very confident that Biden's going to be able to pull it down, and maybe he will. I do think that Biden losing again and again has opened up some space between him and black voters. Had Bloomberg done better, I think you'd have seen in the debate, you'd have seen a whole train of people running away from Biden. I think Bloomberg did badly enough to actually help. Bloomberg did badly enough to actually help Biden. Here's what I think: if you're a black voter, you're looking at, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think you're trying to figure out, first of all, who can beat Trump. That's going to be key. You're probably thinking it needs to be somebody who white folks will be comfortable with, and you're beginning to see a way that Bernie looks more like that. All my African American male cousins have gone from Biden to Bernie. Do you think that in South Carolina, because it's such an older electorate, that thing won't happen? Or because I'm seeing a lot of momentum toward Bernie, even in the black community?
I do think that Bernie has done better than he did in 2016.
Yes.
I still don't think Bernie's doing extremely well. I mean, when you're talking about how well Bernie's doing with African American voters, he's still in the He's still, there's still 22, between 20 and 28%, I think, is where he was tonight, depending on what exit poll you're looking at. So I mean,
he's right up there with anybody else.
What I'm also saying, well, and I think that has a lot to do with the coalescing. But when you go to South Carolina, it is going to be an older electorate.
And that's going to help Biden a lot.
It's going to be an older electorate. It's going to be an electorate that is skewing. It's going to be majority African American women, and so Bernie's going to have to prove he can win that. And there's been no evidence.
Young voters.
There's been no evidence that he can win that, and that's the only point. He has to cross this hurdle. This is a big test for Bernie Sanders, as well as a big test for Joe Biden next week.
Up next, the new hand-wringing inside the Bloomberg campaign after they watched Bernie Sanders win big in Nevada.
Mama Ru needs you. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12 is here. I pledge allegiance to the drag. To the drag. To the drag of the United Queens of Ru-America. And to the crown for which we fight. 13 queens under Ru. Irresistible. With lip-syncing and runways for all. For all. For all. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12.
Premieres Friday at 8/7 Central, only on VH1.
I suffered with psoriasis for so long.
I felt gross. People were afraid I was contagious.
I was covered from head to toe. I was afraid to show my skin. It was kind of a shock after I started Caucuses. I wasn't covered anymore. 4 years clear. 5 years now.
I just look and feel better.
See me.
Caucuses works fast to give you clear skin that can last. Real people with psoriasis look and feel better with Caucuses. Don't use if you're allergic to Caucuses. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to, serious allergic reactions may occur.
I look and feel better with Caucuses.
5 years is just crazy.
See me.
Ask your dermatologist if Caucuses could help you move past the pain of psoriasis.
Ambition lives in our DNA. Competition coursing through our veins, consuming us with the need to thrive.
It's just part of who we are.
Hi, I'm Hanno. I created Gabi because most people overpay on car insurance. Gabi is a free tool that saves you money by finding the best deal. Gabi users save more than $800 per year on average. Go to Gabi.com and stop overpaying for car insurance.
I had a dream. Jimmy Carter asked me why I wanted his job, and I told him I didn't want his job. I want to be president.
He humiliated them in front of the entire country.
No more Jimmy Carter!
It is basically a minute-by-minute political trench fight.
The backup copy disappears from the White House.
Race for the White House, Reagan versus Carter, tomorrow at 9 on CNN.
Work emails, gutters to clean, and sinks to fix. Leave it all behind and explore California. Wouldn't it be nice to adventure out in a new Toyota truck? Get 1,000 cash back on the rugged Tacoma, or choose the adventure-ready Tundra, get 2,000 cash back. Both come with 2 years no-cost maintenance. Toyota, let's go places.
Democrat Andrew Jans is Fresno's chance for a new direction. Jans is endorsed for mayor by the Fresno Bee for being open-minded and responsive with smart solutions. The son of immigrants, Jans will stand up to Donald Trump and help hardworking families reach the American dream. And unlike his opponent, Jans is not taking contributions from developers, focusing instead on building more affordable housing and green space. Andrew Jans for mayor, the future of Fresno.
Live presidential town halls start Monday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
We're covering the latest developments. The big winner tonight, Senator Bernie Sanders in Nevada. He wins the Nevada Democratic Caucus. He's well on his way to becoming clearly the front runner right now. Did well in Iowa, New Hampshire, now in Nevada as well. Let's check in with CNN's MJ Lee. She's joining us now from Seattle, Washington. That's where Elizabeth Warren has her campaign headquarters tonight. But you have some news, MJ, on Mike Bloomberg, what he's up to, how he's reacting to the Bernie Sanders win.
That's right, Wolf. Elizabeth Warren is still speaking behind me here in Seattle. And after congratulating Bernie Sanders, she immediately went after Michael Bloomberg, a clear sign that her campaign thinks that going on the attack against Bloomberg is a winning strategy for them. But yes, we have also been checking in with Michael Bloomberg's campaign, and a senior advisor to the former mayor tells CNN that at the current pace that Bernie Sanders appears to be amassing delegates, that they fear that there is nobody else in the Democratic race that can potentially catch up to Bernie Sanders in the delegate race. And this includes Michael Bloomberg, that they worry that even Michael Bloomberg, if Bernie Sanders continues at this current pace, barring any changes, that nobody else can catch up to Bernie Sanders in the delegates race. One senior advisor that I spoke with saying that this prospect is scary to them. So some blunt assessments coming from Michael Bloomberg's campaign. And as you know, Wolf, there have been a lot of concerns that we have been hearing from sort of party establishment types and moderate candidates. And I think this is just one more strong reminder that after tonight, those concerns are only going to grow. Wolf.
All right, MJ, thanks very much for that report. Let's go over to David Chalian. He's monitoring the all-important county delegate count in Nevada right now. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so this is now the national convention delegates, Wolf. The actual, keep your eye on the prize. There are 36 delegates at stake tonight in the Nevada caucuses. We've been able to award 9 of them to Bernie Sanders. So you see there, Bernie Sanders gets 9 delegates. You see at the bottom it says 27 unassigned. So we have 27 other delegates. We have to wait for the vote to come in and then award them proportionally. As you know, you need at least 15% statewide, 15% in a congressional district to get a national convention delegate. Sanders gets 9 tonight. So what does that mean for the overall picture for the race to 1,991? There's the number needed to win up in the upper right-hand corner. We've got a long way to go before anyone is in range of that. But you have Bernie Sanders with 30 delegates now, Pete Buttigieg with 23, Warren with 8, Klobuchar with 7, Biden with 6. Now remember, only Sanders has 1 delegate so far tonight. Others will win who are above that 15% threshold. But now Bernie Sanders has pulled ahead of Pete Buttigieg in this national delegate estimate. This is how you win the Democratic nomination, getting to 1,991.
And we'll know a lot more, not only next Saturday in South Carolina, where there are a bunch of delegates at stake, but the following Tuesday, March 3rd, 14 states, including the largest ones, California and Texas. There are a lot of delegates at stake on March 3rd.
A third of the delegates are at stake on Super Tuesday. When Super Tuesday is done and we've counted, add in the first 4 states, 37% of the delegates will have been allocated and awarded. It's getting late early.
So when you say it's getting late early, explain.
I'm just saying we are 10 days away from some of the biggest delegate prizes, from a third of the delegates being awarded. I know it feels very early in this process for folks, but the reason why you hear MJ Lee reporting about a Michael Bloomberg advisor saying that Sanders may be on path here to build an impenetrable delegate lead is because we are right on it. We are 10 days away from that big prize. Then add in March 10th, the next Super Tuesday, March 17th. I mean, by the end of March, you're going to have north of 60% of the delegates awarded. So that's what I mean by it's getting late early. It's only the beginning of this process, but massive amounts of delegates are about to be awarded.
We're going to discuss that. That's coming up. Can anyone beat Bernie Sanders right now? Much more of our coverage right after this.
I'm glad you're enjoying this.
Now, the first big adventure of the year is calling. Journey of a lifetime. The Call of the Wild. Rated PG. Now playing.
Here is something truly extraordinary. An epic tale of war and peace. Armies assemble. Battles are going on everywhere. But does it also contain an echo of human nature? This is war.
David Attenborough's Ant Mountain, now on the menu for on-demand viewing at CuriosityStream.
If you looked at America like a bird, and that was all you knew, would you really understand it with just that point of view? We've got a different way to look at it, from right here on the ground. we don't just see United States, we see United Towns. From where we sit, just down the street, near the post office, by the park, when we stop and look around, what we see are sparks. Sparks of hope, of compassion, of communities who stand firm, when neighbors lift each other up, expecting nothing in return. We're grateful for what you bring, and all the sparks you've shown, and the thousands of towns that we get to call home.
I am totally blind. And Non-24 can make me show up too early or too late, or make me feel like I'm not really there. Talk to your doctor and call 844-234-2424.
You clean dishes as you cook to save time and stay ahead of the mess. But scrubbing still takes time. Now there's new Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray, the faster, easier way to clean as you go. It cleans grease 5 times faster. On easy messes, just spray, wipe, and rinse. On tough messes, the spray-activated suds cut through grease on contact without water. Just wipe and rinse. Get dishes done faster. New Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray. Spray, wipe, rinse.
5 steps for perfect winter skin.
5 steps? My skin gets so dry and itchy, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keefe's Skin Repair. It's 48-hour moisture in one use and guaranteed relief for dry, itchy skin. Thanks to O'Keefe's, I got my skin back.
Super Emma just about sleeps in her cape. But when we realized she was battling sensitive skin, we switched to Tide Pods Free and Gentle. It's gentle on her skin and dermatologist recommended. Tide Free and Gentle. Safe for skin with psoriasis and eczema.
I'm your mother-in-law, and I like to question your every move. Like this left turn.
It's the next one.
You always drive this slow.
How did you make someone I love?
That must be why you're always so late.
I do not speed, and that's saving me cash with DriveWise.
Yeah, my son, he did say that you were the safe option.
And that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
So get Allstate.
Stop bossing.
Where good drivers save 40% for avoiding mayhem like me. It's my son's favorite color. You should try it. You always drive like an old lady.
You're an old lady.
Oh, Mr. Resourceful, brown bagging it. So why are you paying so much for wireless?
I don't know.
The new TracFone Wireless gives you all kinds of control. Leftovers? TracFone lets you keep your leftover data each month.
What are you doing?
Unlimited carryover data. Hey, did you know you can get unlimited talk and text on America's best 4G LTE networks for $20? No contract? Unlimited talk?
I like that, because on Sundays, you know I gotta talk to Mama. Then on...
This is your wake-up call, people. The new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control.
I ain't a socialist. I ain't a plutocrat. I'm a Democrat. I was proud to have and run with Barack Obama. And I'm proud to still be his friend. And I tell you what, I promise you, I wasn't talking about running a Democratic primary against him in 2012.
Joe Biden earlier this evening on to South Carolina, where he clearly is pinning a lot of hopes on that state. Just some key takeaways from tonight, Ben?
Well, I think one thing we haven't talked about enough is that the Latino community stood up, and they stood up with and for Bernie Sanders in Nevada, and I think that's extraordinary. It was not a given that someone with his politics and his commitments would be able to pull on this particular group, but he put in the work, as my colleague said. He put in the work for years and years, and I think that we talk a lot about the African American vote because that's been the traditional core vote of the Democratic Party. The Latino vote is splits a little bit more Republican sometimes, but I think it's significant, and I think that other politicians should follow his lead. He didn't just show up with a Spanish ad and expect to get votes. He put the work in on the ground for a long period of time. He's rewarded for that tonight.
And he's continuing to do that. He was, I think, in Bakersfield, California, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before that, looking to speak to Latino voters.
He's really speaking to all voters, not just the ones that typically turn out to vote. He is trying to, even though it's really hard and a lot of people get worried about doing that, he's trying to actively bring new people in, and that is huge when we talk about building infrastructure long term for our Democratic Party. But I think the other thing that I thought was interesting from tonight is that Bernie Sanders is the first time in history to have won the popular vote in the first 3 states. And I think that their vote, the votes of the Democratic electorate in these 3 states mattered. They are changing history, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see how that obviously carries into South Carolina, where he's also increasing support, where there was a lot of doubt before amongst the African American.
One of the things that Senator Sanders says is, this has to be the biggest voter turnout in any election in American history, and not just for him to be elected, but also for him to get Medicare for all, to get these things through Congress. I mean, that's part and parcel of his plan to get it through Congress, is to have that mobilization and people who stay involved and pressure folks
even
on
before
Capitol
we
Hill.
get to the governing part, we got 3 million more votes in 2016, and it was not enough to win. It's got to be the Electoral College. We know that Russia is interfering in our election again. We have to win so big that the cheating won't matter and the undemocratic Electoral College won't matter, and we can get this done anyway. And that's going to take a movement. I worked for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I was not a Bernie Sanders supporter, although I'm pretty far to the left, and I really liked the agenda that he was talking about. I had reservations about the campaign he was running. The campaign that I have seen in 2020 has been a very different one, a much more inclusive one. The way that he talks about race and gender has really made me feel like this is a candidate who gets it in a way that I didn't feel comfortable with before, and it's been really nice to see that happen. It's been a great relief to see that happen, and I'm glad that those ideas are catching on as much as they are.
Bernie Sanders deserves a lot of credit for tonight. I don't think anyone can take away anything from you when you have 40 some odd % of the vote, and I think that one of the highlights of this campaign and the difference between Bernie Sanders today versus Bernie Sanders in 2016 is the outreach that you were talking about and how he laid the groundwork in the Hispanic community, especially with young Hispanic voters. You saw them come out in large numbers, and he got 50% plus of them. But the question is now, how do we move forward? Because we've only had 3 states to vote. We have 54 more states and territories remaining to cast delegates. And so when we go into South Carolina, it shifts into another gear. And so, all of these candidates campaigning in black churches, et cetera, but even on Super Tuesday, you think about Tennessee, you think about North Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, Arkansas. It's not just California, and it's not just Texas. And the question is, can Bernie Sanders' campaign, can it continue to grow and expand the base? That's a question that he still has to answer. And for Joe Biden to be a candidate who was, walking dead by many in the media tonight, he is the second place, well, as of the results now, I mean, he is second place by and outperforming his own numbers by a good margin. So hopefully for him, there's some momentum. If not, then the middle of the party has not coalesced. And the longer they don't coalesce, in the addition of Michael Bloomberg, Bernie Sanders is on track to be the number one.
I think the biggest thing coming out of tonight is what does everybody else do now that it's clear that Bernie Sanders is the front runner, that he can potentially have these massive leads over the entire field of the rest of candidates. I think just even seeing that dynamic where he is maybe 20 points ahead of everyone else is something that probably ought to be a wake-up call for the other candidates and how they approach him as we go into another debate where in the last debate virtually no one, except with one exception, with the exception of Pete Buttigieg, wanted to really take on Sanders. I think the other candidates have to kind of make a choice. Do they think that they need to put up an opposition to Sanders? And if they do, what are they going to actually do about it? Do they leave the race and coalesce? Do they take a more aggressive stance? I think that there's got to be a point in this campaign where those candidates start to make those choices. Otherwise, I think we could see Bernie Sanders really running away with it as soon as we hit Super Tuesday, because nobody else, is willing to kind of make these hard choices, risk potentially alienating his voters, which has been a concern in the past.
I think after North Carolina, there's going to be some kind of reckoning. And South Carolina, there's going to be some kind of reckoning. And somebody like Tom Steyer may decide, okay, it's not working for me, I have to get out. Maybe Amy Klobuchar. What you're going to see from Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden is attacks, direct attacks on Bernie Sanders. We heard it a little bit from Joe Biden tonight, saying that he's a real Democrat, implying that Bernie Sanders, of course, is not. And then more directly from Buttigieg. We'll see whether that works. coming up, but then they're going to have to figure out what to do inside the party. There's a great contingent, of course, that doesn't like Bernie Sanders and doesn't think that he can beat Donald Trump and thinks that he's going to hurt the party down ballot and all of that. And so you're going to start hearing from those people. They're going to start screaming, and we're going to have to see if they have a candidate to coalesce behind who can win. Go find one.
Yeah, right now it feels like the most likely scenario is a contested convention in Milwaukee, because none of the candidates, including Bernie, is on track to get a majority. And if there's one thing I've learned about Democrats, is Democrats really like to follow the rule book. And you saw it at the end of the last debate where they asked the candidates, hey, if someone comes in with a plurality, what do you do? And like every other candidate was like, follow the rule book, let the convention take its course, which means the superdelegates will come out. They will come out in force, probably not for Bernie. And then you're going to have this journalistic dream come true of a contested, or a nightmare, depending upon where you sit. But that strikes me as the most likely scenario, because I do not think other Democrats are going to fall in line just because Bernie ends up with more delegates than any other candidate.
Up next, we're going to go live to South Carolina 1 week before the primary. Will Bernie Sanders crack Joe Biden's firewall? Take a look ahead.
Have you ever wondered what the motorcade driver drives when they're not in a motorcade? This one drives a Volkswagen Passat.
No matter what business you're in, digital transformation never stops.
Verizon keeps business ready for what's next.
We weave security into their business, virtualize their operations, and can even build AI into their customer experiences.
We also keep them ready for the next big opportunity,
like 5G.
Where machines could talk to each other and expertise could go anywhere.
When it comes to digital transformation,
Verizon keeps business ready.
Breakfast combos with all-you-can-eat pancakes? This calls for all-you-can-eat silverware. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes free with the purchase of any breakfast combo. Or just get the 2x2x2 combo with all-you-can-eat pancakes for just $4.99 Monday through Friday.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But not for your clients. That's why we're a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first.
So what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios?
Nope. We tailor portfolios to our clients' needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right?
We don't have those. So what's in it for you?
Our fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, just a little, little bit.
Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
There may be dark days ahead, but with God's help, we shall prevail.
A king who didn't want the throne must lead England through its darkest hour, at home and abroad.
You've got the loose cannon Duke of Windsor meeting with Hitler himself.
The visuals are very damaging indeed.
The new CNN original series, The Windsors, Inside the Royal Dynasty, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Xfinity presents.
This fight is a draw.
Wilder versus Fury 2. Safe boxing into your X1 voice remote to order now.
As your police chief for the last 18 years, I've seen firsthand the increase of homelessness throughout our city. Its root causes are drug and alcohol abuse, mental illness, abandoned veterans, and displaced domestic violence victims and their children. There is an answer: navigation centers, temporary tent shelters that will get the homeless off our streets and into programs they need to become productive members of our city. If they work for our soldiers, they will certainly work for our homeless.
Live presidential town halls start Monday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
Jeff Zeleny already in South Carolina. A week from today, the South Carolina Democratic presidential primary. Jeff, we heard the former Vice President Joe Biden predict he will win South Carolina. This could be, in his quest for the Democratic nomination, the most important week of his effort.
Well, if there's no question, he says he will win. Well, he'll have to win if he wants to stay in this race. The next 6 days for Joe Biden are the most important of his political life. That is not an exaggeration. That is not hyperbole, as he might say. That is reality. He knows that he needs to win in South Carolina and perhaps win convincingly. I was talking to one of his top supporters here in South Carolina who was watching those results in Las Vegas, in Nevada, and he knows that he needs to win here. He believes that Joe Biden does have a path to winning here. The Biden campaign believes that they do have an argument here. 60% of the electorate here next week is African American. At least that's what it was 4 years ago and before that. So Joe Biden believes that is his path. But Wolf, it is it's an uncertain fact if the race has changed, though, or not. Firewalls are stagnant, are not necessarily stagnant things. They are movable forces. This race has moved considerably through Iowa, New Hampshire, and in Nevada. So are voters still going to be as open to Joe Biden? That is his challenge when he comes here. And Wolf, he will be here tomorrow morning. He's flying overnight from Nevada to here in South Carolina. He'll be attending a church service here in the morning, and he will be beginning to make his case there. So no question, this is a big challenge for Joe Biden. His campaign says he's up to it. He'll have to be if he wants to stay in this race, Wolf. That's
an important point. Stand by, Dana. There's going to be a Democratic presidential debate in South Carolina Tuesday night.
That's right. And, look, the whole discussion is going to change, maybe temporarily, but maybe not, as the voters and the candidates gear up for South Carolina. But I just want to mention something that hasn't been talked about, maybe rightly so, because Bernie Sanders appears to have had a big win tonight, and the conversation has been about that and what it took, and giving him his props. But the other conversation that is going on, a very real conversation, and I'm sure you both have heard it, we've all heard it from our sources, is the technical term is freaking out among moderates. I mean, they are freaking out at the notion that Bernie Sanders could be the Democratic nominee. You kind of heard it in MJ Lee's reporting from the Bloomberg campaign, saying that even they're worried that even he couldn't beat Bernie Sanders now. I mean, there's an effort and a discussion about whether the moderates or the people who aren't in the Bernie Sanders lane can get together. But regardless, the concern is that not just that it's Bernie Sanders, but the concern is beating Donald Trump, and the feeling that not only do they not think that he couldn't beat Donald Trump, but it's the down ballot. It's potentially taking back the Senate. It's keeping the House, and those are the conversations going on. They might not be right. Bernie Sanders could defy all those low expectations for him, but it's happening.
They might not be right. They're looking at past history,
right,
and they're saying this has never been done. And if you listen to Bernie Sanders' speech tonight and all those promises, you could almost say, how much is that going to cost? How much is that going to cost? How much is it going to cost? If I'm a moderate Democrat running in a purple area, can I run on that? That's what their fears is. Again, that does not mean it cannot be done. It does not mean Bernie Sanders can't win the nomination. It does not mean he can't beat Donald Trump. But Democrats have nothing in the rearview mirror to look at and say, aha, there's the path for that to work. It would be a brave new risk. Doesn't mean it wouldn't work. But that is the panic. The thing from the Bloomberg campaign I took as we need to guilt the other moderates out of the race.
Right.
We're starting to do the math now, and nobody can catch him. So the rest of you better get out of the race. That's every campaign's going to have its elbow out. But back to Jeff Zelony's point, which is why this is a absolutely critical, decisive, defining week for Joe Biden.
And nobody has the money that Mike Bloomberg has.
Well, not even close. I mean, Mike Bloomberg has spent more than all of Barack Obama spent in his re-elect campaign in a general election. I mean, this is the unprecedented levels that we haven't seen before. There's no doubt about that. Now, that's not going to impact the South Carolina results. He's not on the ballot in South Carolina. He will be on that debate stage. I think some of that MJ reporting also was trying to incite that freak out among moderates and stuff. But just listen to you guys, and it's so... reminiscent of 2016 in many ways on the other side. I mean, all our sources, the party establishment on the Republican side in 2016, everyone we talked to in politics who feared what a Donald Trump at the top of the ballot would do down ballot for them, and thinking that, oh my God, look at all the non-Trump vote that's out there on the Republican side. This can't be the guy that's going to represent us.
And they were wrong.
They were wrong. It was. He won the presidency. Obviously, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders are very different people, different appeals across the country. I'm not suggesting that's the same. I'm just saying we are in this era of American politics where the establishment set of what all their past history teaches them, a lot of that is out the window of where the voters and the energy in these parties are.
Washington is wrong a lot. Washington is not America. And in recent years, we've learned that. Washington gets it wrong a lot.
You guys are the best. These last 9 hours have been fabulous. Enjoy working with
Who's counting?
you. Stay with CNN for new presidential town halls just ahead of the South Carolina primary. Monday, Michael Bloomberg makes his town hall debut at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by Bernie Sanders and Pete.
Sorry for the pause, everybody, but I thought you might want to take a look at and get this memorized. Take a look at this and get it memorized. All right.
Sanders and Pete.
Hearing all of Stanley's stories.
These last 9 hours have been fabulous. Enjoy working with
Who's counting?
you. Stay with CNN for new presidential town halls just ahead of the South Carolina primary. Monday, Michael Bloomberg makes his town hall debut at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg. Wednesday, it's Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar, and Elizabeth Warren. I'm Wolf Blitzer in the CNN Election Center. The CNN original series, The Race for the White House, is next.
So we both know there's Nazis living in America.
You know what the best revenge is? Revenge.
Let's do a little dance, make a little love, and get down tonight.
So what'd you think of the debate? I'm gonna give you some time to, you know, how do you say, discuss about it. Discuss about it. And if you think Bernie Sanders can win South Carolina, please leave it down in the comments.
They have a problem.
Wasn't that amazing? Bernie Sanders won? Let's see what you come and say before we close this out. Well, Sam, I think you're right, Daryl May. After Super Tuesday, many will leave. Let's hope those two include Biden and Buttigieg and Bloomberg. I agree with you, Daryl May, too. Bloomberg is exactly what Bernie is warning us about. But I wonder. Yeah. Congratulations, Daryl May, you're now a moderator for this channel. Very good. Oops. Turn it. Okay. Russian. Nah, I don't agree. Nah, I don't. Nah, I doubt it. Roblox him more. I think Trump will be taking the blame more than instead of Bernie. Yeah, I think you're right about Duke Yanks, sir. Anyway, I'm gonna close this out. Thanks for watching this live stream. Now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And if you can, help my channel grow. I think this video has already reached 100 plus views. But if you can't, help it reach 1,000 views by sharing it with as many people as you can. Friends, family, complete strangers. The possibilities are endless. And help my channel reach 1,000 subscribers. If you do, I'll forever be grateful. Forever grateful. And don't forget to do all that. Until then, this is Jeff Bartow signing off. Saying, congratulations, Bernie. Hope you win. Hope you win not only the primaries but the entire election too. And that's my message to Bernie. But until This is Jeffrey Bartell, signing off.